What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Knights here with another Mordhau video, and today we're going to be talking about weapon balance, new additions to the game, various ideas of mine. Now these are just my opinions, and I'm sharing them with you guys because you expressed an interest in these things and my thoughts on the current game, the current meta, and where are we going from here? What are the things that need to happen to make this game flourish and not die out? Now, to get this out of the way, I think this is a type of game that is formatted and structured to live a very, very nice, consistent, healthy life, and I don't think it's going to die out anytime soon. Just like Shiv, it has a very, very popular, dedicated community, and the YouTube content, there's hilarious videos out there, there's really awesome stuff coming out, and I think there always will be. So this game has a bright future. Even if it kind of fizzles out a little bit, there's always going to be a dedicated community. So that's why I think they should just kind of hear me out, perhaps. And now, these are just my opinions. Now, these are not necessarily things that are factually going to make the game better or more fun. But I would hope that you guys would be sort of in agreement with me on more than half of these things. Now, if you disagree with more than half of everything I say, then that's a big feels bad, man. Alright, so first off, I want to talk about duplicate items. Now, I find it sort of bothersome that they have enabled players to run triple fire pots. I'm not saying they should reduce your access to fun loadouts and powerful loadouts whatsoever, and I don't think that restrictions make games more fun. I think the least amount of restrictions, the better. But in this circumstance, making it so you cannot have more than 2 items of the same duplicate item will prevent a lot of spam. Now, on top of this, it will make the players that are using triple fire pots or triple javelins or whatever they're using, it will actually make their classes better, first off, because any logical player that's going to run fire pots would run double fire pot and like a messer or something like that anyways. So it's going to make the game less spammy, and it's also going to make those players have to contribute to the actual sword combat or bow combat if they want to, use fire pots with bows or javelins or whatever. It will prevent players from over spamming specific items. Now, they could be really strict and say no duplicates, period, like only 1 item, you cannot have 2 of the same. Now, I think that's a bit much, but I think getting rid of triplet item potential would definitely make the frontline game mode better, and I don't see any argument as to why it would make it worse. Now, moving on, I want to talk about shields. Now, I'm not a huge hater of shields, although I don't use them, and generally speaking, the player that is behind the shield is worse on average than a non-shield user. Now, there are some really good players that use shield. I'm not hating on all you guys, but there's a few changes that I think would be very cool to consider. Now, again, these are my opinions. Take them for as you will. First of all, destructible shields. Now, have the shield have a finite number of hits that it can receive before it not gets knocked out of your hand, but actually literally destroys. So it has its own health bar in a sense, and you will have to go to the crates and it will instantly replenish your shield to full, and you can do this over and over and over again, but it will require you to either make a decision. Do I want to play without my shield because it just got destroyed in my arms, and I have my arming sword? Do I want to just finish out this life with my sword? Or should I go, for the slow play and go for the shield replenish? I think this would be interesting, and it would prevent shield players from it would make them be more selective with their blocks. Now, another idea is for hold the block shields, the kite shield or the heater shield, those 2 shields. An idea is that instead of having stamina drain from your parries, make it so that when you're holding, the entire time you're holding, your stamina bar is ticking away and draining out. Now, I guess this sort of would defeat the purpose of a hold the block styled shield. Maybe you could do a balance between the two, like the stam drains like 1 for every second. So it would prevent you from just just holding it indefinitely and just never unholding your shield. Now, again, that's not even a very good strategy because you can get kicked, but it can be annoying. So I feel like having a stam drain from hold the block shields would prevent people from just like holding it more than they should. But again, this is not mandatory. This is not a huge problem. It's just an idea. Another idea would be shield bash. Now, being able to have an extra mechanic to lunge forward with your left arm shield and either knock somebody over or do, 10, 15, 20 damage, something in that ballpark. Now, I think this would add an extra layer to shield use and also make there be more mechanics, therefore making it have a higher skill ceiling, and also enticing a higher skill level player into playing shield if it was destructible and you could bash people with it. So having its downsides, this would create sort of a skill gap, because having a downside to it and an upside to it would allow you to kind of be creative with how you use the shield. Now again, these are just ideas. You guys may hate them, you may love them. It's really just ideas, and maybe the devs are hearing me and they'll have their own take on it, and maybe they'll change something slightly in some way. Now another idea is for horses. Now first off, I understand horses are supposed to be strong. I think the horses should have a less radius in which they knock you from. Now, if you stand right in front of it, have the horses like either knock you to the ground or, do what they do now. But all the time, you will be 1% away from having your swing land on either the horse or the rider, and the horse bumps you when you're like not even touching it. So there's like this like hitbox, if you will, of the horse. It's like when it rides by you, it will bump you even if you're not right up on it. And it cancels your swing too inconveniently, especially for these larger maps where horses are very OP. Another idea would be less horse spawns in general. So either one horse per side until they're both dead and then they spawn as they die. Or another idea I had was team dedicated horses. So 1 or 2 red horses versus 1 or 2 blue horses. If it can only be ridden or wielded by the same colored team, that would make it so that the horses are less overwhelming. And again, it's just an idea, but I thought it was kind of interesting having horses that could only be ridden by that team, that owner's team. Flesh Wound for frontline, in my opinion, is one of the worst perks in the game. Now, you'll see it being used in comp, and it's actually a really good perk for comp because you can win entire rounds simply because of you making these like clutch last second plays. But for frontlines, it is the most counterintuitive perk I've ever seen, and there's probably 5 to 7 people per lobby using this perk, and I'd love to have a discussion with them about it because I don't see any upsides to Flesh Wound. When you get your arm or leg lopped off, you've got, 5 or 10 seconds to try to get your lust, your vengeance against them, but you're inevitably going to die anyways. And this is the most selfish perk because when you lose a limb, you're down to 10 HP or less. And what this does, not only are you super weak and vulnerable to your own teammates killing you accidentally, like anything will kill you essentially. Not only are you weakened from them, but your mindset when you lose a limb is to play overly aggressive and throw yourself in a sacrificial kamikaze-like styled mindset. And this is not right. I don't like this perk for frontline. And I think what they need to do to fix this perk is that once you've entered Flesh Wound stage, if a teammate kills you, it doesn't count for anything other than the minus points of your damage, but it will not count as a teammate kill. countless times have I accidentally killed players or seen players kill their teammates, or I would take somebody's arm off and their own, on the enemy team, and their own teammate would come up behind them and whack them. And I honestly just feel bad for them. So I think this perk needs adjusting for front lines. Another idea for Crossroads is to make the bridge that connects blue spawn to the center cap point a little bit wider, because it's not even wide enough for two people to be effectively swinging at the same time. And I feel like it could be the same width as all of the bridges on Taiga. I think Taiga has very well-sized bridges that allow for team contribution, whereas the bridge on Crossroads feels more like wait in line to spam left click or scroll mouse wheel until either you die or they die, and often your teammates get really impatient from behind you and will TK you from behind, stab you from behind. They don't really care. They're just getting kill thirsty, and I don't even really blame them, because the bridge is so narrow that they can't even navigate around you in any way without taking damage themselves. And all around just kind of widen the platforms on that map, so falling is a factor, but a little bit less of a factor because it's already such a chaotic map. Another thing with fire pots, just really quickly, is a way to nerf them in a way that would make them still good but more logical would be wherever you throw the pot, the center of that point where you throw it does as much damage as it does now, if not more, but as it gets further and further to the outside of the radius of where you throw the fire, have that outskirt do less and less and less damage. Therefore, it will be good at forcing people to have to navigate around the fire, but it will not be as effective as simply cutting off an entire bridge and making people stand there taking shots from archers for 20 seconds waiting to either jump over the fire and die, or just slows down the gameplay. So if they could make fire pots have more accuracy involved, I'm all for it. But again, if they did make the inventory changes where there's no triplet items, I think that might be enough to kind of stabilize the fire potting. I don't hate this map, but I think it's a little ludicrous to have the horses on the same map as a center point. The horses don't really play any role in the objective and winning the map. It typically seems like whoever has the most cavalry loses, and this makes sense because they don't really contribute. So an idea would be to make a horse-only map, or a very horse-dominated map where the horses are able to capture the objective and not have it be super closed off. Have various large regions that are not even circle-shaped zones. Like the entire map is sectored off into zones, and whoever has more men standing in those zones will be capping more points. So it would be kind of more of like a ground war, extra large scale horse battle where you don't have to hop off your horse to cap the zone. And my last idea, to leave it on a positive note and a creative idea, is Squads Battle Royale mode. Now, I love the BR mode, but I feel like it gets a little stale. Like, I can play it for like 1 to 5 games, and then I get kind of bored, because there's only so much you can do with it. Now, it's still a fun game mode. Some people play it all day long. But an idea would be to have 4 to 6 man teams, or even duos. But hear me out here. This idea would be 4 to 6 man teams. Every team gets their own team color. So it would be like yellow team, blue team, green team, red team, purple team, orange team. And all of these teams spawn at different sides of the BR map. Now, they might have to make a specific map for this, but I think it could work with some of the current BR maps. Now, it would be interesting if they started off with kind of like a CSGO styled buying menu, where you are able to buy 10 points worth of inventory, whether it be you want to run 333 armor and run a dagger, or if you want a Zweihander and no armor. You can kind of pick how you want to start the game to an extent, and then have there be chests that have additional items that will help you progress, or maybe less than 10 points to start, maybe 5 points to start, just so that everyone has some basis of foundation, because I would imagine in a squads BR mode it would be very chaotic having 5-6 dudes on the same team trying to run after the same chest, and then they all get split up looking for chests. I think this would be detrimental to the idea I have of the mode, and I think it would be very interesting if you could start out with a certain amount of currency, or simply have you be able to start out with whatever armor and weapon you want, and then have the chests be bonus perks or something like that, or have bandages in them or something like that. So it's just an interesting idea. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I know it might be difficult listening to somebody else's opinions for 15 minutes straight, but I do want you to know that I care about all of your opinions, and my opinions are not completely concrete. They're just creative thoughts, and I would love for you guys to use the comment section of this video as a open space to share your own creative ideas and your own fixes and changes to make the game better and the community better. So thanks again, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.